Hey guys, I'm back with a new video. But before I start this video, I just wanted to say something. Well, about 5 months ago, I did a 15 underrated horror movies part 3 video, and in that video, I announced these other things I'm gonna do with some friends. I was gonna do like these reviews called Obscure Horror. Well, they're not canceled, since I'm guessing some of you are probably if you're following me and also checked out my friend's YouTube channel, since I left a link in that video. But I'm gonna leave a link in this video too, just in case you weren't following what I was saying. I mean, the obscure horror videos are not canceled because, if you're probably wondering where are they and whatnot, because I already did one for the 2001 Maniacs Field of Screams, and my friend who's editing it, he was releasing it in 2 parts because he was having a lot of trouble with editing it, so he just released the first part, but the second part hasn't been released yet though, so you're probably wondering, where is it? Well, the thing is, me and my friend, we work a lot, so our jobs are just really taking a lot of our time, so we're still doing it, so don't get all worried, don't get mad, if anything. Just be patient if you're wondering where they are. My friend is still editing part 2. He's almost finished. I do have to remind him a little here and there, but it's still coming. I still have few videos, few movies for the obscure horror series that I'm planning to do. I'm planning to do the Dario Argento Phantom of the Opera movie. I'm planning to do Dracula 3000, and also Children of the Living Dead. I'm planning to do reviews for that. But I also did announce in that video that I'm going to do this series of collections that's made by certain directors. So I thought I'd start it with this video, which I'm choosing Wes Craven. This can be my Wes Craven collection. And I'm choosing to start this with Wes Craven because if it wasn't for Wes Craven, I would not be a horror fan. I started out watching Scream, that was the movies, and also the Unknown Last Summer movies that got me into horror. I was always more of a fan of Scream though, so thought I'd start with this. Yeah, this is my Wes Craven collection. Alright. And this is no in particular order. I'm not ranking these movies. I'm not saying this is my #1 favorite, it's my 2nd favorite. This is all chosen at random. And I'm gonna say which ones I like, which ones I don't like. Alright, here we go. I'm gonna start out with his first movie, The Last House on the Left. The original one from the 70s, which was directed by him and produced by the Friday the 13th director, Sean S. Cunningham. So this is actually how Wes Craven got started, his first movie, how he got his name out there, how he became who he is. So this was definitely a pretty good movie. This girl and her friend who get raped by these convicts, and then the girl's parents get revenge on them. So it's the movie that started out the whole rape revenge horror thing, because there was also I Spit on a Grave, which came out a few years after this movie. So this is the one that started it though, and this was pretty good. They made a remake of this movie that came out a few years ago. Remake I actually did not as much as the Wes Craven classic over here. So this is a good disturbing movie. Liked it a lot. And then there's Hills Have Eyes. It's another Wes Craven classic over here. Pretty good movie. That's this family getting stuck out in the desert and then getting stalked by these people who live in caves in the hills, who are cannibals. Of course, Michael Berryman, who's pretty famous for this movie, has got the cover over there, and he's of course the most famous one. So and they did make a remake of this one as well, which I liked too, not as much as this one. No, this is pretty good. And Wes Craven made a sequel to it, which I also have right over here, which was pretty bad, one of Wes Craven's worst movies. But you know what, it's kind of a bad movie I can laugh at. Wes Craven himself actually admits he only made this movie for money because he wasn't really getting much work, was having financial problems, so he only made it for money, and today he disowns this movie, for good reason. And there's also this one, Swamp Thing. Pretty good movie. I'm not too sure if I would really say it's a monster movie in particular, because Swamp Thing, he's actually, of course, a good guy. He's a scientist who gets killed and gets mutated into like this plant-like creature. It's based off of DC Comics, which I'm a fan of. I'm looking forward to like the Batman vs Superman movie next year. But I will say though, this movie's dated, so it's kind of in a way a little cheesy, but I like it though. I got it on the Shout Factory Blu-ray as well. And here's another Wes Craven movie I like. It's The Deadly Blessing, which doesn't really get much recognition. Like, doesn't get talked about that much. So it's an underrated movie of his. And Michael Berryman from The Hills Have Eyes and Hills Have Eyes Part 2 is also in this movie. He's not in it as much as he was in those movies, but he's overall in it. So it's a pretty good mystery movie, which I liked. And there's also The People Under the Stairs. Another Wes Craven movie I actually really liked. Sorry, it's clearing my throat. So like, you know, it's basically like these rich people that keep these people under their stairs, like in the basements. And like, it's a little creepy at times as well. Like basically seeing like those people like, you know, all pale and like, you know, all dark in their basements. Like, and also the people like going through the vents of the house as well. Yeah, so not much to say about this one, but overall I do like this movie. Definitely worth checking out. And just like that Swamp Thing one, I got it on the Shout Factory Blu-ray as well. That just actually came out very recently. Got it the other day. And there's also this movie, The Serpent and the Rainbow, which stars Bill Pullman from Independence Day. And this is a pretty good movie. Basically a little different from Wes Craven stuff, because he did like slasher stuff, and this one had to do with voodoo. So like, you know, it had pretty good imagery, and also like the jungle like setting. Pretty good performance by Bill Pullman. So it's a pretty bizarre movie, but I liked it. I also have Wes Craven's made-for-TV movies, like this movie Chiller. Doesn't really get talked about much. People don't really give this one much credit, but it's pretty good. I mean, fortunately this DVD I have has pretty bad quality though, so it's a little bit of a letdown at that part. But I mean, I like this movie. It's about this guy who has this disease, and he wanted to be frozen, so they freeze him before the disease kills him. That way, when like one day they get like the technology to cure him. So I'm just trying to remember what kind of disease. It was a liver disease in particular he has. So he gets stowed away in the freezer, and one day like when he's like when the cryo unit he's in isn't working, so they decide to like thaw him out and like perform the liver surgery, and so they save his life. However, when he comes back, he's like changed, so he like is comes back as sort of like a Frankenstein-like guy. So yeah, so not really much to say. This one overall, I do like this one. And here's this other TV movie called Invitation to Hell, which is about this family who move into this new town, and the husband gets this new job, like this promotion. That's the reason why they moved. So like, but then like the townspeople want him and his family to join this club. However, the club actually turns out to be the Invitation to Hell, which how this gets its title. It's a little cheesy at times because, of course, low budget TV quality. But I mean, of course, I do like when the husband goes down to hell in this spacesuit that he created to withstand, like, you know, like 1,000 degrees. So I liked that whole thing. So I liked it. Another one I got is A Deadly Friend, which I think is definitely an underrated movie as well. Which this movie, of course, did get pretty bad reviews and bombed at the box office at the time, but I think it's a little underrated. I mean, it's cheesy, but I find it fun. I mean, it's about this kid who excuse me, who is this genius, and he created this this robot, which kind of reminded me of the robot from Short Circuit, you know, Johnny Five. And of course, he names the robot BB, which the only thing it says goes BB. And he moves in his new house of his mom, along with his robot, and he falls in love with this girl who lives next door. But then one day the girl gets killed by her abusive father, and so then he puts his robot's chip, like the brain for BB, right into her brain, which brings her back to life. But then she's like, you know, acting like just like BB, so basically being like, you know, a robot, becoming hostile as well. And heck, there was a part where she throws this basketball at this old lady's head, which caused her head to explode. So it was kind of worth it for that scene right over there. And speaking of another underrated Wes Craven movie, I also like this movie, Shocker, which is definitely a ridiculous movie about this serial killer who works as a electrician, like it's kind of like cable job, and he also does like some black magic, witchcraft, voodoo stuff. And one day when he's caught, he puts a spell on himself. So when he goes to the chair, he gets fried, but then he becomes some kind of like electrical force, like electrical ghost who can travel through electrical stuff, anything that runs on electricity. So it was pretty cool. And heck, the scene where him and the main guy go through these TVs at the end was just all out fun. So it was a cheesy movie, ridiculous movie, but a fun movie. I liked it a lot. And fortunately, there were supposed to be sequels, but didn't do well at the time, so it got canceled. And here's another one of Wes Craven's lesser-known movies, Vampire of Brooklyn, which stars Eddie Murphy. It's basically not much to say about this one. I mean, there's stuff I liked about, stuff I didn't like, but overall, I still can laugh at the movie. I still had fun with it. Pretty cheesy, funny performance by Eddie Murphy as a vampire. But I did, of course, like the atmosphere. I liked some of the ridiculous stuff in it. So it's a fun movie. Not perfect, though. But here's, of course, one of Wes Craven's movies that I saw in theaters, which is technically one of his worst movies, called My Soul to Take, which is basically about this, I guess, like a ghost who possesses these, who possessed the main kid's father years ago, and then, like, on the day of the main kid's birth, who was also, like, the same birthday as, like, you know, a few of his friends, so, like, so the ghost gets killed, like the father, should say, gets killed, and so the ghost, who's called the Ripper in this movie, then just leaves his body and goes into the body of one of the babies who gets born that day, which turns out, maybe I shouldn't actually say who it turns out to be, because it's a whole mystery thing that if you haven't seen it, I don't want to spoil it. There was times that reminded me a little bit of Nightmare on Elm Street and Scream, and there was also some pretty bad acting. There's stuff I found a little laughable, though, so I kind of could laugh at how bad this movie was. And I wouldn't 100% recommend it, though. And here's, of course, the things that got me into Wes Craven. Scream, of course. Take it out of the box set. Like the first movie, of course, one of my favorite horror movies of all time. I also liked how, excuse me. I liked the killer's costume, the ghost face costume, as it's called. I also liked how this movie pointed out the horror cliches as well. I also liked the death scenes. Pretty good performances by Neve Campbell and what's her name? Courtney Cox and David Arquette, who appeared in all the other movies. Also had Matthew Lillard, Skeet Ulrich, um, Rose McGowan, Drew Barrymore just for a little bit, and Jamie Kennedy. So all of them are actually pretty good, fun characters, all liked. And I also liked how they made everybody a suspect. Like, maybe you're thinking maybe this guy's the killer, or maybe this guy's the killer. So I liked how they threw you off at times, made you think maybe this person's the killer, but it turns out nope, it's that person. And also Scream 2. I like this one as well. For same reasons as well as I like the first movie. Not much to say about that one though. And also Scream 3, which is, I'm going to say it's my least favorite in the series, but I still liked it overall because it was a fun movie here and there. I liked how it went back to the events of the first movie because they point out, of course, same thing, cliches of like the sequels. Not much to say about that one either though, but I liked it. And I also do have Scream 4, which is the first Scream movie I saw in the theaters. I liked this one a lot, liked it more than Scream 2 and Scream 3. I liked how this one also pointed out the cliches of horror movies, but it's like, pointing out this is a new generation of horror movies now, so like the rules you remember in like the previous 3 movies no longer apply, like virgins can now die. Basically, the like unlikable characters could live now, and try to remember. Oh, also like the death scenes are like a lot more gory than it was back in those times as well. So I like this one. And I'm gonna now show my favorite Wes Craven movies right over here. I'm talking about this one, A Nightmare on Elm Street. Freddy Krueger, one of the most scariest horror characters of all time. And when I first saw this movie when I was younger, it actually scared me. It made Freddy Krueger, what? My God. And also the claws are over there. And the fact that he can kill you in your sleep, which is just, oh my God, very original, very creative, very scary, very atmospheric. It also started out the career of Johnny Depp. This was his first movie, and his death scene, which is of course the most famous one in the series, him getting pulled in his bed and his blood shoots right up on the ceiling. That was a very good movie. And he also did make this one as well, Wes Craven's New Nightmare. And I'm going to say he redeemed the series a little bit with this one, since the series went a little downhill a little bit after the third movie. Although it wasn't too crazy for the second movie either, because I do like the third one, but went a little downhill, started getting comedic. But he redeemed the series with this one because he brought back the darkness, brought back the atmosphere, brought back the seriousness of the first movie, and did a pretty good job. It's not really a part of the series though, I'm gonna say, so it's a little, there's times it doesn't really make sense, there's times it rehashes things from the first movie, but Robert Englund, who played Freddy and all throughout the series, definitely did a very good job at helping out with bringing back Freddy to the dark roots. And overall, I like this one. Alright, so hope you enjoyed this video, guys. Stay tuned for more collection videos. We're going to do other ones on other horror directors like Dario Argento, George A. Romero, Tobe Hooper, John Carpenter. So, stay tuned for that in the future. Alright guys, see ya!